I'm Will Scott. Welcome in to our post-game show here on Dolphins Today. Unfortunately, that final score you see on your screen is not a typo. The Dolphins just lost to the Jets 40-17, the final score. This was a close game entering the fourth quarter, too. It was 19-17. Going into the final quarter, the Jets outscored the Dolphins 21-0 in the fourth quarter. This was just a disastrous game for a shorthanded Miami team that did not have Tua Tagovailoa. Teddy Bridgewater got injured on the first play. He entered concussion protocol. He passed his concussion check, but because of the new protocol, he was not able to come back in this game. Skylar Thompson took over, the third-string quarterback, seventh-round pick out of Kansas State, went 19 of 33, 166 yards and a touchdown, or interception, no touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, if you want to have, one bright spot here, is that we finally saw a breakout game from a Dolphins running back. Mostert, 18 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 7 receptions, 47 yards, but Tyreek left the game because of an injury. We'll talk more about that in a second. Zach Wilson, 210 passing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, no interception, surprisingly. Breece Hall, nearly 100 yards. He was a problem. Dolphins defense, man, obviously there's a lot of blame to go around, right? But the Dolphins defense was not good in this game, nor was the offensive line. I know a lot of us were a little bit, underwhelmed by Thompson's performance, but I blame a lot of that on the offensive line. And just talking about the performance in general, go down, grade the Dolphins' performance today. Type A, B, C, D, or F down in the comment section. Go down, let me know what you thought about the Dolphins' performance today. Type A, B, C, D, or F down in the comments. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So go down and reply to it when you get a second. Grade the Dolphins' performance today. I'm going to give it an F, especially in the fourth quarter. This was an abysmal performance. I honestly felt pretty good about this football game going into the fourth quarter, but the Dolphins just completely collapsed. The Jets pulled away. You had that Skylar Thompson strip sack, and after that it was pretty much over for this Dolphins team. Taking a look now at the total stats here. So in terms of total yards, the Jets surprisingly did not have that much more in the Fins, 322 to 295. The Jets had more passing yards. The Dolphins had 2 more rushing yards. Penalties, the Dolphins had over 100 penalty yards, so did the Jets. 11 penalties called for the Dolphins. So Teddy Bridgewater, on the first play on offense, got hit. It resulted in a safety, and he left the game due to what the team called a head and elbow injury. Again, he passed his concussion check, but the new protocol says if you show any instability whatsoever, then you have to leave the game. So that's going to be something that's talked about a lot here in the coming days. How is this protocol going to change, football in general? Because last week, Teddy Bridgewater would have been able to come back in, but because of the Tua Tagovailoa injury, that has changed the protocol, and Teddy Bridgewater was not able to come back in this football game. Here is what Skylar Thompson did, coming in to replace him. I think we're all really excited when Skylar came in. We wanted to see Skylar. I think a lot of us wanted Skylar to start over Teddy just because Skylar looked better than Teddy in the preseason. 19 of 22, 166 yards, no touchdowns. He did throw that touchdown, but they say Mostert stepped out at the 1-yard line. 2 interceptions, threw a pick because his hand was kind of hit. His arm was hit during a pass, and then the other turnover was a fumble on the strip sack. So 2 turnovers total for Skylar Thompson this football game. Taking a look at the rushing stats, Mostert had the best game we've seen from a Dolphins running back all season. It's the first time a Dolphins running back this season has gone for over 100 yards. Then Gaskin, we finally saw him, the 5th game of the season. We finally saw Myles Gaskin. He played more in the second half than Chase Edmonds did. I thought Gaskin looked okay, especially as a pass catcher, but Edmonds had 2 drops in the first half. I think that kind of signaled that Myles Gaskin should finally get some playing time. So Tyreek Hill had 13 rushing yards. He had 47 receiving yards on 7 receptions. Waddle just had 3 receptions, 23 yards. So just on offense for the Dolphins, just a disappointing day. But I don't think you can underestimate the value that Tua Tagovailoa has on this football team. I mean, you've seen the last 2 weeks. This team is 0-2 without him practically. Yeah, he started last week's game, but I think they'd be 5-0 right now if they had Tua Tagovailoa. I really do. I mean, you cannot put into words the value he has in this football team. Guys, who do you blame for today's loss? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the offensive line? Is it Skylar Thompson? Is it the defense? Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I saw one comment earlier that said injuries. That is a very, very fair point because you had Xavien Howard out. That really hurt the secondary. I love Kader Kohu. He had a rough day tackling. Nick Needham could not tackle either. And then you had some offensive line injuries. Obviously, Austin Jackson's out. Terron Armstead left the game due to a toe injury. He's been questionable the last 3 weeks of toe. He's played every game, but he left the game due to a toe injury, did not return in the second half, and that was a big loss. Greg Little did not look good. Brandon Shell in his first action did not look great. I'm curious to see the PFF grades tomorrow, but a really rough day from this Dolphins offensive line. Skylar Thompson was under duress all day, which like in your first game as an NFL quarterback, you got to be protected, and Skylar was not. Guys, you can go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Dolphins125 to get a 125% deposit bonus. That means if you put $100 in, you'll get 125 additional cash to bet with. Go and bet on the Fins, chatsports.com/bet. You got to use that promo code to get that bonus, Dolphins125. Here's what the Jets offense did. So 322 total yards, 187 passing yards, 135 rushing yards. Again, we'll talk about Breece Hall in a second. He was a massive prop. And then 5 penalties, 105 yards. Zach Wilson, I mean, he looked okay. I was surprised he didn't throw a pick. He threw 2 picks in his season debut last week against Pittsburgh. The Jets are somehow 3-2. And it sucks because the Dolphins were 3-0. Now they're 3-2. They're tied with the Jets now in the division. The Bills won big today over Pittsburgh, so they're now 4-1 in the division. Breece Hall went for nearly 100 rushing yards. He had 100 receiving yards, Sam? I'm in shambles right now. Breece Hall had 197 total yards in this game. I understand there's a lot of blame to go around, but the defense, this was, and I'm going to start to rant now, this was an inexcusable performance, Josh Boyer. We've talked about every week, Josh Boyer, the defense has got to get better. And I understand that X was out. I understand you have injuries all across the board. There's no excuse for letting the New York Jets score 40 points on you. There's no excuse for letting a rookie running back go for nearly 200 yards. Inexcusable performance day. And we've talked about it every single game. The defense has not been good in the first half. I said they got to get off to a good start today. They didn't. And in the fourth quarter especially, the defense completely collapsed. You let the Jets score, and I understand it was short field a couple times, but it's inexcusable to let the Jets of all teams score 21 points in the fourth quarter. The defense was atrocious today. Just unbelievable, unbelievably bad from Josh Boyer and this Dolphins defense. Guys, I'm so disappointed right now in this Dolphins team. Look, you have so many injuries. You have your starting quarterback hurt. You have your star corner hurt. Terron Armstead didn't play in the second half. Austin Jackson is out. You have all these injuries. I understand that. But you cannot lose the Jets by 23 points. There is no excuse for losing to the New York Jets by 23 points. That is not something that can happen. And the coaching staff has got to get this team back to where they were. This was a 3-0 football team. I understand that Tua's been out, the last 6 quarters. And those 6 quarters have been disastrous for the Dolphins. And it'll be interesting to see if Tua plays next week. It'll be interesting to see if the NFL allows Tua to play next week. But if Tua clears protocol and passes all his checks and is healthy, then he should play. I would be a little bit surprised to see Tua play next week. However, I think against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, that is very possible. We'll see what happens. But losing to the Jets by 23 points is just so freaking bad. Are you concerned after today's loss? Type Y for yes or type N for no down in the comment section. Go down. Let me know what you think. Yes, I'm concerned because if Tua is going to be out next week, you're playing a very good Vikings team. A Vikings team, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, I believe they won today. They did win. They're 4-1. This is a great Vikings team. Luckily, that game is at home for the Dolphins. You have got to win that football game because losing is contagious. It is so tough to get back on track. And look, Mike McDaniel's a rookie head coach. He's going to have to lead this team through adversity right now. This is his first real taste of adversity. 2 straight losses. You're without your starting quarterback. Tyreek Hill, by the way, left the game due to an injury as well. We'll continue to keep you posted on his status, but so many injuries across the board. There's 20 Dolphins on the injury report this week. Let me know if you're concerned after today's loss. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Taking a look here at the updated standings. The Dolphins were on top of the AFC less than 2 weeks ago. Now, they're in third place in the division. Tied for second. The Jets have the tiebreaker technically, so you can say third place is tied for second. The Bills have regained first place. The Patriots won today over the Lions. The Patriots are now just 1 game back of us. This is just a disastrous Sunday. You lose to the Jets and the Bills and Pats win. I'm not happy at all right now. But guys, go down, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Dolphins News. Hit that big red subscribe button because we'll continue to keep you posted on all Dolphins injury news, and we'll certainly monitor Tua's status throughout the week. Hopefully he's able to go on Sunday against the Vikings.